Hello, everybody, and welcome to another podcast, Northern Heresy. And I am joined by my awesome, lovely co-host as usual, Mr. Kyle.
Hello, everybody. Another wonderful day.
It is another podcast. So many in the bank, ready to come out. It's all good. But today we are going to be talking about the Imperial Militia PDF document. So if you want to play Imperial Guard, but you don't want to play Solar Auxiliary, and you want to use the new Guard models from Games Workshop, then this is the PDF document for you. It's very good. I'm very tempted.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, going from the start of the document. I mean, there's a lot of it's never strictly implied by the document, but there's a heavy lean into what you get access to in this army based off of a lot of those new Guard 40K or Guard kits.
Yeah. I believe this come out before the Guard got their update, though, didn't it?
It came out after.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, came out after. We've only had it for a couple of months now.
It does look pretty cool.
It's this army has come out as PDF, and I thought it was a fantastic thing that GW did bring it out for free for everybody to just have the rules so that they could just add and do with it whatever they wanted. I think with the way that the army works, it's not a hard thing to do that anybody could have an Imperialist militia like allied force, or even do a full force of themselves. There's a lot of interesting ways to play with them.
I could be tempted to do a pure force of them, just because I'm just looking for a reason to collect the new Imperial Guard plastics.
Yeah. I was really tempted to do some sort of crazy like Vikings with shotgun build, but finding models which are both Vikings and wheeled shotguns is a pretty niche market.
Okay. So it's a pretty comprehensive PDF. I mean, it's got everything in here, and it does kind of explain. It's kind of like also like an inbuilt FAQ at the same time, isn't it?
It is. It's a well thought out document, and it's one of those things where I think that the likes of this is, and even the dabble that they did with the like Ruinstorm Allies force that they released a PDF for before the main demon rules get released. I thought that was quite nice, but this is truly tip top. It's top quality, I think, in terms of the construction and flow of what you get access to and how it plays.
Okay. So you've obviously read this more than me, so you go for it. What is this core and expanded part of the army list?
So this core and expanded part of the army list is. Hang on, I'm just trying to catch myself up. Core and expanded. Don't actually know what you mean.
Really? I thought you said you'd read this. Right.
Oh, right. Sorry. Right at the tippy top. It goes on to say, core and expanded is the likes of your legacy units and stuff.
Okay.
It's got everything. It's just letting you know that all of the army list profiles in here are here. You can just do with what you need. The way that it treats it is that both core and expanded types of unit may be freely used in any Horus Heresy battle. This category does not affect their availability as part of an army or detachment or the rules for them during their battle. As new units and models are released, their army list profiles will clearly state if those are core or expanded. So it's future-proofing itself to tell you if things are going to stay or if things are going to go.
That's good.
Right?
That is good. Especially considering that they do like to remove things.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're wanting to sort of address that, and I think it's in pretty much all the books now to sort of state that things can change.
Good.
Um, because obviously things do get added to the game, and as we'll see, an awful lot of the things that you gain access to have a close counterpart from the 40k line.
We will definitely touch on like what if I was to collect these and use the Imperial Guard models. When we get to the units, I will sort of tell you this is what I would use for the new plastic range to fulfill that choice. Now, I don't think it's going to cover them all because I have gone through them, and there's definitely certain things missing, like transports.
Yeah,
But there's workarounds.
but yeah, there are workarounds, and there's a Imperialis militia player in our local community, and he's been getting to grips with this army list
Is that
coming from 40.
Is that the one that you brought your Warhound against?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Such a nice thing to do there, Kyle.
he had a being with.
It's not a Warhound Titan.
Correct.
So the document's got some nice little fluff, goes through what they are, their orders of battle, which is kind of cool. It gives you a little bit of flavour to the army, very much like the black books give you for the individual legions and stuff. And it does have a nice little designer notes as well. So given that the vast number of worlds contained within the Imperium, no two Imperial Militia armies look the same. So kind of like giving you the green light to go nuts in your conversion and let your imagination run wild, which is very cool.
It's a conversion person's dream army. It's like you can pretty much do whatever you want, and the ways you can construct your force changes so drastically that there's so many cool things you can do.
Obviously, if you're into your 3D printing and all that, then you know this army is definitely well up your street because you're not going to be constrained by the Games Workshop and Forge World miniature line because you can just go absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's really cool, and I like how at the end it's apart from that the only real limitation with the Imperial Militia is your own imagination.
Yeah.
Now I want an army of rainbows and unicorns with shotguns.
And you can do that.
Yes, you can.
So this army has to depict what the Imperialis militia in 30k in Horus Heresy are not like the Imperial Guard. They might look an awful lot like them, but really they are like PDF forces. They're like cobbled together. It's like they're like the civilian reserves to the planet rather than exploratory or invasion fleets, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to reflect that, they get there's three subtypes for their units.
Right.
The first one is the militia subtype. So the following rules apply to all the models in the subtype. Any models that include it may only attempt to regroup if at least half of the models that are included at the beginning of the battle. So if you go under half strength, you can never regroup.
Nasty.
Yep. A unit that is militia and falling back and is charged automatically is removed from play.
Okay.
With no leadership test being allowed. So they just get auto swept if they're already trying to fall back.
Ooh.
And models that have the militia subtype and are not monstrous or mechanized, that are locked in combat and is successfully charged by an enemy unit, makes an immediate morale test once the charge has been resolved as part of the charge subphase. If it is failed, then the militia unit must fall back if it had lost the combat. So they don't they're not trained warriors here. We're not talking about well-trained infantry.
So,
Okay?
well, yeah, if you've read the Horus Heresy Siege of Terror books, then you definitely get that there's a lot of civilians just being given a gun and told to defend the walls.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Sounds kind of cool.
Like, it sounds like an awful lot of downsides there, but as you'll see with like how the units are actually composed and how many points you're paying for them, it's not really a big downside.
Okay.
In my opinion. So the next thing that they have is third line unit as a subtype. So the following applies to all models with the militia subtype. When an armor penetration roll would inflict a glancing hit, it inflicts a penetrating hit instead. And
Okay.
and enemy players can never score victory points for the destruction of models with third line,
So no VP for vehicles.
including Lords of War.
Ooh, nice.
Right?
That tank
So,
heavy army now costs no victory points.
yeah. It's like whenever something doesn't gain you anything and will blow up to, pretty much a paper airplane whenever it gets there. But it's still not the worst thing in the world.
No.
Especially on your Baneblade, which I think is a really cool combination because while you'll still take a penetrating hit instead of a glancing hit, you're still super heavy, so you don't care unless it's an explode result.
Yeah.
And you'll still just take one hull point. So there's quite nifty like interactions between certain rules.
Okay. Sounds quite
And
good.
the third one is mechanized, which is for the likes of your sentinels, and follows the same sort of thing as the armigers, the dreadnought, and the automata, and it's just their own version of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it can do all the things that the other ones can, but they're just called mechanized instead of sentinels.
And can you take multiples of these? Or is this this is like a detachment, isn't it?
So these are the like whenever you have like your infantry units, and you'll have like line units and your different like subtypes like skirmisher.
Yeah.
That's what these affect. So these are going to affect your army en masse depending on what it is.
Okay.
Right. So all of your infantry are likely going to have the militia subtype. All of your tanks will have the third line subtype. It's like that's what we're dealing with here. This is army-wide rules.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. I do like the fact that likes of your tanks, like your Lehman Russes and things like that, are not going to score points, which is kind of cool. I like that a lot.
I think the third line is a good representation. It's like they might have tanks and they might have all this stuff, but it's not being looked after, and they refer to as it's a third line unit, so it's cobbled together and it's held together with duct tape and dreams. So,
well, your frontline army units would be your solar auxiliary. Surely.
Yeah. It's like these guys are not well trained. This is like your conscript force, and people who are just there, and it would be either loyalist or traitor, depending on how you want to do it. Because there's obviously a lot of cultists out there. You could do a massive cultist army, which would be quite cool
if you're that way inclined, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are the subtypes. Then we have actually a fair amount of warlord traits for us to pick through.
There is quite a lot.
There is 6 in total.
Well, what's your top 3?
Ruthless tyrant, beloved of the people.
Okay.
And let me just see.
Because there's the one thing that I've always noticed with Games Workshop rules writing is you get a lot of like warlord traits and enhancements and relics and things like that in all of the games, and the vast majority of the time there's only really at least 3 of them, or maybe 1 or 2 of them, that you're really gonna entertain in taking. The rest of the time it's like they're crap. So what's your top 2? Ruthless Tyrant and Beloved of the People?
Ruthless Tyrant and Beloved of the People. And if I had a third, Marcher Lord, probably.
Okay. Good. So what does Ruthless Tyrant do?
So, Ruthless Tyrant. So, Warlord with this trait gains Fear 1.
I like that.
Which affects all friendly models as well as enemy models.
He's going to scare Space Marines.
He's also going to scare his own men.
Of course, he's a tyrant.
Yep. However, should any friendly unit that is under the effect of this model's Fear 1 special rule and under the control of the player whose warlord has this trait, if it's forced to fall back during the movement phase or shooting phase, then the controlling player may instead remove D6 models or a single model with a monstrous subtype from that unit as casualties. These casualties are chosen by the unit's controlling player. No saving throws or feel no pains are allowed. If this option is used, then the unit does not fall back, but instead remains in place without further effect.
Okay, interesting.
In addition, you get a additional reaction in the assault phase.
Ooh.
So I really like this.
They don't have they don't have their own unique reactions, do they?
No, they don't.
Well, that's a shame.
It is. But it's really cool. Making that militia problem where even if you're at 50%, you're going to run away, to just removing a couple of guys instead on these big blob units has a lot of staying power for the amount of infantry you can field.
Yeah, it's like having an inbuilt commissar into your squad.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
But that's a 12-inch bubble around him that he gets that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make a lot of things just stay where they should.
Yeah, I'd imagine your elite units that you're going to want to have up front with him.
Your Ogrins are a pretty hard thing to move. If you can make sure that they don't fall back, that's a really good place to be.
Oh, Ogrins, so cool.
So, next one. Merchant Princeling.
Right.
So, all weapons possessed by the Warlord gain Mastercrafted.
Okay.
Before any models are placed onto the battlefield as part of a deployment, the controlling player of this Warlord may select a single unit under their control, designated as a Lifeguard unit. The Lifeguard unit must be composed entirely of models with the Militia unit subtype, and all models in the Lifeguard unit gain Heavy, if they did not already have it, and may re-roll all failed to hit rolls of 1 made in any phase or as part of a reaction.
Okay, cool.
Warlord with this trait must be deployed as part of the Lifeguard unit and may not voluntarily leave that unit during play.
Right.
You get a reaction in the assault phase. It's like it's sort of retinue-ish.
Yeah, kind of.
It's okay. I suppose it's meant to show off your like you could have your rogue trader commander, and obviously all of his weapons are nice and shiny, and then he's got just a bunch of guys he hangs out with.
Hmm. And then Beloved of the People. What's this one?
So give this a read, Rick, because I love this one.
So if during any player's turn a model with this warlord trait is removed as a casualty, then all other friendly models in the same detachment gains a +1 to their weapon skill and strength characteristic and the feel no pain 4+ special rule until the end of the warlord's controlling player's next player turn. And what this warlord trait is? So basically, if you lose your warlord. So if your warlord gets killed, you get +1 weapon skill, +1 strength, and feel no pain 4+ for the rest of that turn.
Yep.
In addition, during your opponent's shooting phase, as long as the warlord has not been. So you also get an additional reaction in the shooting phase while he's still there. And then if a warlord with this trait has been removed as a casualty, then the army may take an additional reaction during the opponent's assault phase instead.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a shame that it's only for the turn and not for the rest of the game.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think there's a few ways you could use that to your advantage. And it's like, because everything in this army is real cheap.
Yeah.
So you can afford to throw things away. And especially whenever most people want to claim, like, slay the warlord is a valid reason to kill something.
True.
But yeah, because you're wanting it to die, people are less prone to actually want that, especially since it gives you a lot of buffs to bring you into line with marine equivalents, even.
Yeah. Interesting. It's cool, but it is a shame that it isn't like that for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be very cool.
I do like that it gets a reaction swap whenever he does die, and they don't actually lose any.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think it's quite a good balance. It's just fun. It's great. It's thematic, I suppose. You can just build it up to just have your having all of your units in position, having your commander die, and they just all go mad, and just tie people up and potentially even wound them.
Yeah. Very cool. So Marcher Lord. What's this one? Ooh, Battle Hardened 1. I like that.
Now, Battle Hardened 1, I put a big caveat on this because remember, everything's toughness 3.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
So anything in a marine army is going to kill you anyway.
If you get hit with a meltagun, you're still going to get hit with a meltagun.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. It's not bad. I mean, there's nice additions with the pinning and stuff, but
yeah, it's like the Battle Hardened 1. I think isn't why you take this though. I think it's the secondary effect of being immune to fear.
Yeah.
Hold on. Furthermore, as long as a warlord with this trait has not been removed as a casualty, the first pinning test by a controlling player is automatically successful without rolling a die. That's quite nifty. And I completely forgot about that bit.
Auto immune to pinning is very, very nice.
It's a shame it's on the first unit instead of one you choose.
Yeah.
And then you get a shooting phase reaction. Okay. But yeah, Marcher Lord would be my third pick. Just for.
I'm definitely tempted with. I like the Tyrant one. I just like the fact that he's just a dick.
Yeah, Tyrant is really, really strong, I think.
Yeah, I like that one. So what have we also got? So oh wow. So there's one with lots of effects here. What the
Yes,
hell?
we're back to a classic where you get a warlord trait where you roll a dice every turn.
Oh, I don't like them ones. But I do,
Every turn, not sorry. This is once per game. A once per game turn, not once per game. That's a very good thing because as long as your warlord's still alive, you're going to roll that dice. But
yeah, but you're really fishing for sixes on this.
well, let's split it down the middle. So I'll talk about some of the effects on here.
Go on then.
So on a 1, the warlord suffers an automatic wound with the instant death special rule. No armor saves, cover saves, or anything is allowed to save him, although invulnerable saves may be taken as normal. Other units with at least one model within 12 inches of him suffer D6 plus 1 hits at Strength 8, AP 4. These hits are allocated by you, and may be allocated to the warlord, and can cause morale checks where appropriate. So you don't want to ever roll a 1, right?
No, you really don't.
Because you're likely, especially with a 12-inch range, you're likely to kill an awful lot of your own army. It's AP4. You have T-shirts, people. So that's the bad. On a 2 to 3, on a 2 to 3, you must nominate one unit, friendly or enemy, within 12 inches and line of sight of the warlord. That unit suffers D6 plus 1 hits at Strength 8, AP4, which are counted as having lethal grit, just like your Volkite weapons.
Nice.
If no other unit can be nominated, then the unit with the warlord suffers deaths instead.
Yeah, still bad. Well, if you're close to the enemy, then you're going to put that on a unit. But yeah, if you're not, bad.
Yeah. I mean, this is really like. I mean, certainly during the Great Crusade, I'm sure that there was all sorts of knickknacks of Xenos' origin and whatever, and somebody would just be, stupid enough just to go, I think it's time to push the button and see what happens.
No Inquisition in those days.
No Inquisition at all.
No, Space Marines that did no fear. So 4 to 5, the Warlord and all models in the same unit gain Rage 2 and Furious Charge 2 special rule for the remainder of the turn. That's really good. That is pretty cool. And then number 6, which is really what you want, purely because of this, the Warlord gains Eternal Warrior, which is just amazing, and Feel No Pain 4+. For the remainder of the battle. That is just so good. Imagine rolling that on turn 1. If this result is rolled again, then the Warlord also gains a bonus +1 strength to their strength and toughness characteristics for the remainder of the battle. This bonus is cumulative for the rest of the rest is rolled a third or more times, up to a maximum of 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be so cool.
I mean, this is one of those things in the Horus Heresy community that somebody will take that just for that one glimpse at rolling a 6 a couple of times.
Well, yeah. If you get 2 6s off in a row, then your Warlord is essentially on par with a Space Marine. He's going to be what? Strength and toughness 4, with Feel No Pain 4+ and Eternal Warrior.
Yeah.
And there's not much Eternal Warrior in the game anymore, so that is really, really good.
Yeah, it's definitely it's entertainment, especially whenever you're turning pretty much just a regular Joe guy who's taking command and turning him into a Primarch after a few turns.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine you're going to be rolling lots of 6s in a row, but it would be fun.
4 6s in a row. That's all it takes.
Yeah, but then in addition, you also get an additional reaction in the opponent's movement phase if the Warlord hasn't been removed, and then Robber Baron. Basically, you're a tea leaf. So
so this one gives you Warlord with a trait gains +1 to their strength for the duration of any successful charge,
Okay.
but they can't make sweeping advances.
Boo.
However, whenever such a unit would otherwise be eligible to make a sweeping advance, the controlling player must instead roll a d6. On the result of a 4, 5, or 6, the controlling player gains d3 victory points.
That's not bad.
In addition, an army whose warlord trait has this ability can take a reaction in the movement phase. I actually really like Robber Baron. Yeah, because you're giving up sweeping advances, but you're getting D3 victory points every time you do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a really good way for the militia to skyrocket ahead on the points.
Yeah.
Whenever you're playing objective game.
So we're going to be coming in now for our first unit entry, and this is the Force Commander for 100 points. Now, model-wise, if you were to do this, and you're going to use the Games Workshop plastics because of the new Imperial Guard range, which, of course, that's why you would want to do it, because they are really nice models. The Cadian Castellan is probably the miniature that would fulfill this. You can't give him a horse, I don't think.
Yeah, you can.
You can. Well, then you can also get the Solar Auxiliary guy, Lord Solar, and put him on a horse. Just for the rule of cool, I'd put him on a horse.
Let me just double check. Yeah, you can have a mounted commander. A mounted commander costs you an extra 20 points.
I like the fact that you can put him in power armor for 15.
I love this idea. So my entire idea was to make a militia force to go alongside my space wolves, and I was gonna have like an old rugged space wolf, one of the 13th Company or something that was just not able to be Space Marine enough, and he was gonna lead a bunch of Vikings, and they would all just be geared with shotguns and sent forth.
That's cool. Just trying to work out what model you could use. I suppose if you could get hold of one of the old metal
literally
power armor,
pretty much use anything. I mean, even the old Inquisitor models, you could probably take off all that Inquisitor iconography. It would look like a pretty good commander.
Yeah.
I think the point is obviously, as we've stated before, this army could be built up however you like. You could quite easily do a Riders of Rohan, and use them in Heresy if you had enough of them.
Yes, or use the Rough Rider models, which are so nice. So
those new Rough Riders are really, really nice.
They really are. They are.
So before we get to them, though, the Force Commander comes in at a whopping 100 points.
But that's good.
So the only thing that's different between the mounted and the unmounted is the movement characteristic.
Yeah.
A Force Commander is a regular human, so moves 6 inches, and on a horse he moves 14.
Yeah.
Also, mounted doesn't necessarily mean horse. If you could model like dirt bikes with like guys with lances and stuff, that would look fucking epic.
Well, you got the Gene Stealer cult miniatures on dirt bikes and quads.
Yeah.
So you could use them. Personally, I would be throwing him in carapace armor, because I'd be going down the sort of Cadian shock troop model range. And the Castellan model comes in carapace armor, so I would be putting him in that. Definitely paying 20 points for an Iron Halo. And then you're pretty much going to be sitting on a 4-up save with a 4-up unrunnable, which is pretty solid. Your weapons are, as you can imagine, every conceivable weapon is pretty much listed from.
It's nice to see the needle pistol return.
And the fancy saber swords as well, which is kind of cool.
I don't know what a blast pistol is though.
No, I'm hoping that there is going to be a little thing at the end with some of the weapon profiles because
Yeah.
I want to.
I mean, the only
want a
thing that I could
blast
possibly imagine
pistol.
is like an old timey like flintlock hand cannon where it's just going to fire out a bunch of crap at you.
Better be a blunderbuss.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the sort of thing that I think from a blast pistol.
a blast pistol. So let's see, where is it? It is not an auto weapon. It's not one of them. Needle weapons, las weapons. What? Why is it not listed? That's, where is it? It's not even under.
Hang on.
It's not under exotic either. Chain, basic close combat. It's not Volkite. It's not plasma. I wonder if they meant to say bolt pistol. Oh no, here it is. It blast pistol. It's a las weapon. It's and range 9, strength 6, AP 4, pistol 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's short range, but you know what? Strength 6 ain't nothing to shrug at.
Yeah, but that needle pistol is only strength 2, but it's got poison 3+ and pinning. And
That
it's a
is a
12-inch
very
range.
good point.
You
Very,
know,
very good point.
that needle pistol is looking really good for causing some pain. Because let's be fair, most of the time you're going to be fighting Space Marines.
Yeah.
So, look at things that are going
I
to
get
hurt
it's like
Marines.
trying to inflict these pinning checks is like the more you can try and do it, the more likelihood they'll fail. So
That's true. So there's some nice options there. A lot of options to build whatever character you want to lead your army.
So you said about like a Kasserkin or a Stormtrooper sort of guy or Cadian shock troop.
Well, yeah, either one of them would be working quite well.
I would probably go for interesting. Probably give him an Iron Halo.
100% you're giving him Iron Halo. You are not going to be walking on that battlefield without it.
Nice. Well, this is the thing, because why would I want to invest points if he's beloved by the people, right?
Because you're only going to get it on a turn, and you'll turn up without it, and that'll be when someone turns up with a recon squad and just literally executes it on turn 1, where you don't get any of those benefits because you're not going to be able to get in combat with anybody. It's just like, oh well, that was should have really given him that 20 points and that Iron Halo to keep him alive long enough till I want him to die.
Well, to be honest, if I was going with my Viking Space Wolf themed militia force, he would have power armor, he would have an Iron Halo, he would have a cyber familiar to push that to a 3 up and vulnerable save,
and he'd also be riding in a Viking longboat Chimera armored personnel tank. Because that would be cool. Yes, there are plastic Viking longships that you could probably convert with the current Cadian Chimera transport.
I was actually thinking that this is the perfect opportunity to introduce a singular Thunderwolf cavalry to.
Oh God, no! So he comes with a couple of rules. Obviously, he's an independent character. He's got muster of worlds, and then he's got the province. So the muster of worlds is if this detachment contains a force commander, then it may also possess up to 2 provinces. So this is kind of when you're getting into your old school traits for your army, essentially.
This is honestly a beautiful thing. It has a real nod back to like the 4th edition.
Yeah.
Build your own force.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love the fact straight away I seen gene crafted. So you want an army of clones? There you go. You can have an army of clones.
Yeah,
with side
the
effects.
theme shift that you can do with the militia is so versatile and so flexible that you can play it in multiple ways. And there's only a few of them out in the selection that'll actually tell you that they can't work together, because otherwise it's a little bit silly.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of them. There's a lot. There's a lot of them
Yeah.
to go through in today's episode. But let's just put it this way: you've got what, one, two, three, four, at least 4 pages worth, and there's about 5 to 6 on each page. So whatever your imagination. So going
There's
with going
15
with
choices.
going with Kyle's Vikings with shotguns, he would obviously take clanfolk. So that detachment with this province may choose to fill compulsory troop choices with militia cavalry squads. So there you go. You've got your riders of Rohan or Vikings riding around on big wolves.
I would actually be going for feral warriors as my first choice.
Feral warriors? I'm just... I read that wrong there. I thought that said alchemy junkies, and it's not. I was like, oh my god, I can get an army of literally drug takers. Oh,
Yeah, for my one, the feral warriors, all eligible units gain +1 to their weapon skill, so
oh
it'll push them
chain
up the
axes.
and you can give them chain axes, which means that they're going to be strength 4 with shred and your weapon skill 4. And I think the only downside is that you need to charge within 12 inches. And as a Space Wolf player, that has never been a downside. So I'm fine.
Yeah, but I mean, like reading the Clans Folk one, if you want like a mounted army, so using the
Yeah.
new Rough Rider models, then that
Yep.
would be the one that you would take, because not only does your Rough Riders, your cavalry get +1 leadership, um, but they also, in addition to detachment, you get 4 additional fast attack choices as well. But these may only be used by Imperial Militia cavalry units. So it's like a full-on cavalry army, which would
Yeah.
be kind of cool.
And the restriction to this whole thing is you can't combine kinfolk with Ogren conscript. So you can't have a full Ogren army with full cavalry as well.
No, but you
So
can have a full Ogre army if you really, really wanted to.
yeah,
So yeah, that like this. I love things like this. I wish they would put more things like this into 40k and Age of Sigmar, because these are fun, and it allows you to really sort of just go to town. Like my
yeah.
mind's already racing at like, how many of those boxes of Rough Riders do I need to get? But it's so cool.
Now for the utterly insane, I think it's the okay. So the what page number? Skip your way to page 12 with Unending Horde.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was actually sort of stopped when I was reading Debased Rabble for an Army of Fanatics, or Tainted Flesh, and have a bunch
Yeah.
of weirdos.
So audience, for everyone who isn't reading along with us, Unending Horde is a detachment with this provenance, gains Endless Horde 4+. The special rule, the 4+ allows you to, once a unit entirely composed of models with this rule has been entirely removed as a casualty, you roll a dice. And if you roll a 4 up, it gets put back into reserve and it comes on in the next turn.
Old school rules.
Old school
Old school.
Imperial Guard super conscript army.
Or
That is what
demons fighting Grey Knights used to get this rule as well.
Yeah. So that's what that does. Now that's whenever we get to it, it's going to become a problem of numbers more than your ability to make a list.
Yeah, but essentially the provinces are whatever theme craziness that you've got in your head. There is probably going to be a handful of rules there to fulfill
It's
that theme that you want to go down, and that's the whole point of this army.
It's not a version of Rights of War, which is just super flexible.
Yeah, which they were too flexible in 4th edition. So,
Yeah, but I like it's like you pick two, and as long as they work together, then you're getting an army-wide unique thing, and it combines in a few different ways.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
So next up, we've got the Discipline Mastercarder for 20 points. 20 points. Basically, from reading this, he sounds like a commissar.
That would be a good call. He has two special rules before we get into like we shouldn't really get into all the war gear options because they're
again the war gear is pretty much standard across all of these. You're gonna have access to carapace armor. Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same no matter what. And again, this guy can be mounted. If you want that entire cavalry army, you can have mounted commissars, and I believe there are still mounted commissars available from Forge World, I believe. I do not believe. Yeah. I don't think they got rid of them.
So the big takeaway for the Discipline Master Cadre is it works like the Marines, Tech Marine and Apothecary detachments. So you buy them all together and then you separate them out into squads pre-game.
Right.
So it's like if you decide to buy one and then you attach him to a unit, he stays with that unit until it's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can mount him on cavalry. You can give him that delicious militia lance, and yeah, he's weapon skill 4 over a regular guy so he's got a little bit better weapon skill. Sadly. But all these guys are just what they are. They're commissar guys. They allow you to get your guys up to leadership 8, which is bad.
Sadly, they no longer do the mounted commissar from the Death Courts of Krieg list. So, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure there is a mounted commissar somewhere.
Also, plenty of conversion opportunity again.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll have a look. I will peruse while you're going through this guy.
So next we have the Rogue Psyker, another HQ choice, 50 points. I'm not too sure that you'll ever... So it consists of 1 Rogue Psyker for the unit composition, and you may include up to 9 Militia Wardens for 5 points each. So you're really breaking the bank on this unit.
Yeah.
Militia Wardens can exchange their las pistols for stuff, stub carbines, las carbines, that sort of thing. And the Rogue Psyker can exchange their weapon for a force weapon for 10 points.
It's pretty
but
cool.
The Rogue Psyker is weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2, 3 up strength and toughness, 2 wounds, initiative 3, 1 attack, no saves. So yeah, the Rogue Psyker, he has Fear 1, and it can only be taken by a greater force.
Right. Yeah.
So the Rogue Psyker gains the Anathemata Psychic Discipline, which is listed below. So it has Breach of the Veil, which is a psychic power shared by like the Esoterist and things like that. It's actually the exact same list, and it has the Void Dart. So it's like your little demon guy who's gonna just go around and shoot people with some nifty brain magic.
Yeah, unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be an actual Psyker model on the GW website anymore.
Is there one in the Sisters of Battle range?
That actually is a good. No, there used to be one because that's the same armor in with the Dark Tide. I'll have a look. Sisters of a Battle. No, I'm pretty sure she'll be a girl. Should be a hero character. There's a priest. There's another priest. No, they're all nuns with guns. Now, technically, if you really want to be for the lols, you could run your Melissa or Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the best army you're only going to be able to take is Carapace. But, yeah, you could essentially bring...
I would argue that Carapace armor is a trick, and that going for 4-up saves for general infantry is a bad call for
Well, I would, purely because of the thematic nature of what the models are wearing.
Yeah, I get it. I think it depends on those provinces and how you're gearing your guys up.
Yeah.
But I certainly wouldn't be with my feral horde. I would just be throwing them shotguns in hand at you.
Yeah, there's a couple of nice Inquisitor models in Power Armor. There's Inquisitor Greyfax. There's the Order Xenos, Lord Inquisitor, and you know, they're pretty cool. But no freaking Psyker.
Do the Inquisition have any rogue Psyker models?
No.
They must do.
No, there is no Inquisition models. Well, there is, sort of, but there isn't like proper. There's Inquisitor models, and the Assassins.
There used to be a model that you get. It looked like it was almost like a guy on a crucifix, but it wasn't obviously of that religious notation.
No.
But I thought that was an old. It must just be an old model.
Yeah, a lot of it's been gone, and it's mainly the plastics that are now sort of kicking about. But yeah, I mean, there's potentially, if you got the rogue trader kill team, there's a dude with what looks like coils coming out the top of his head. I guess you could probably use him as a weird Inquisitor type rogue psyker model.
I mean, you could because it's trader only. You could also dip into like the Chaos Cultist lines from like 40k.
There's definitely one on the Chaos Cultist side.
Yeah, but you'll never have any trouble if you're wanting to just do a massive Chaos Cult.
Yeah. I've just realised that the Imperial Navy breaches are very, how do we put it, apart from having Cylon helmets, they're very solar auxiliary. But that very solar auxiliary, but they would be extremely expensive to do that as an army.
As with all Imperial Guard / Astra Militarum style forces,
you're going to use a lot of guys.
The biggest problem is the amount of men the amount of infantry that you're going to require.
Yeah, I mean, as a good example, your command squad, which is your command cadre, which is next. These guys have 45 points for 5 models. And again, your KD and command squad fills that role perfectly. You get all of the options that you could possibly want that you're always going to get. What's really cool is you can bump it up by 15 models, so you can have a command squad of 20 guys.
Yep. They can take a standard bearer. They get access to the Nuncio Vox.
Yeah.
They can all take bolt guns if you were feeling really fancy.
Yeah, and something like that, you could dip into the Arbites models if you wanted something looking a little bit cooler. So there's a lot of options for that. But again,
I like
that
the squad gets Carapace armor for 20 points for the entire squad.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting better returns if you're taking more guys.
Yeah. You do, yeah. Although it's really funny when you get to the actual squad.
Yeah.
So they're basically veterans. They're a support squad, and they've got the household retinue, which basically means they don't take up a slot in the force organization chart.
Yeah, they'll normally be hanging out with your commander.
Yeah. And then we got the first troops choice, which is 80 points, and is your good old infantry squad. Sergeant, and 80 points for 19 guys, or 20 guys. That is a lot of dudes for not very many points.
Correct.
So again, but the only downside is with these that I could see is there is no carapace armor, and there's no carapace armor option. So I will imagine that there's going to be a veteran squad that you'll be able to take as troops instead.
The benefit of these guys is actually their special rule, strength in numbers. So for every squad of these guys that you can take, it's not one per slot. You can take up to 3 per slot. So you can have your 2 compulsory troop choices could be filled up with 6 troop choices.
Oh my god!
That's how you have to consider these guys.
Don't worry, because if you don't want to play, you want to play guard in 30k, but you don't want to play horde guard. There are different troop options that are coming up that will
remember that's up to 3.
Will fix the infantry swell quite well. So again, they can have all of the options that you could ever want. They've got shotguns, las carbines, stub carbines, close combat weapons, a sniper rifle, so 1 sniper rifle, a flamer, heavy stubber, melter, plasma gun, grenade launcher. So whatever the squad can get, they can have.
This is the one issue that I see for the squad is, and you'll see this a lot throughout the rest of the army as well, that these squads are only getting access to 1 special weapon.
Yeah, they are. But again, there are different troops choices that will fix this problem.
Yeah.
So next up is the levies. So if you thought they were cheap, the infantry squad, you ain't seen nothing yet. So levies for 20 models are 40 points. But they do have an amazing rule called expendable.
They also have the sergeant of a levy squad has weapon skill, ballistic skill 3, and is 3s across the board like a regular infantryman. A levy is your true conscript person. They're all weapon skill, ballistic skill 2.
White shields are go.
But Rick, did you notice that you can have up to an additional 30 levies in the squad?
Yeah, I did, yeah. For 60 points.
For 2 points each.
100 points will come in at, basically, what is that? Jesus. A 50-man squad.
Yeah, a 50-man squad for 100 points.
And again, they've got strength in numbers, so they're taking up multiple units can be brought into 1 slot, which is kind of good. So again, if you want mega horde, so if your normal horde isn't big enough, but you want a really bigger horde, then this is the unit for you. Personally,
the levies don't have line compared to the regular infantry.
No, they don't. So you're not going to be taking objectives.
And the expendable rule, I think, is, while it is hilarious, it's going to feel whenever you're worked down through those 25 men in a 50-man squad, and then you just have to take everybody off the table. It does save an awful lot of time. But...
Yeah, I would love someone to do this and watch a 10-man close combat marine squad hit them, and there's 50 of them, and just see how much damage that marine squad can do, and if it can actually kill them all. That would be really cool to see. But I don't want to be the person to actually collect and paint 50 50
No,
infantry for one squad.
nobody wants to do that.
Personally, if I was to do my militia army, this is the troops choice I would take, which is your Grenadier squad at 75 points. They are literally a standard guardsman across the board. They've got 3s, 2 attacks basic, leadership 7, and they come with carapace armor, which is really, really cool. And they have, you can have an additional 10 guys for 6 points each. So, that's not bad.
It's in line with what the 40k Imperial Guard have as their new boxes, I believe.
You can. It's the Cadian Shock squad, which only comes in 10 models, but all of the options are there. So your sergeant can get a bolt pistol, a blast pistol, a plasma pistol, chainsword, power weapon, and a power fist. You can have a Vox. You can bring a Vexilla. One Grenadier can have a shotgun. You can give all your guys bayonets, and then up to 2 Grenadiers can have heavy weapons. So you can have a heavy stubber, a grenade launcher, 2 sniper rifles if you really wanted to, which is really, really cool. So if I was to do a militia army, this would be my troops choice because of that theme of the using the new plastic Cadians is definitely what I would do. They do have the support squad though.
They do have support squads, so you can't take them. I believe Provenance may change that, but
I think it does.
I think there may be one.
There is. I think I flicked over it. It's something to do with the the legacy of the Great Crusade. I think so. All Imperial Guard, Militia, Grenadier squads, Command Cadres, Discipline Masters in the detachment get +1 to their ballistic skill, and a force commander in this detachment with this province increases its initiative to 5, that's pretty cool because it makes them good. But I did see one somewhere where it allows it to be. Is that it there? Levy support squad and all Grenadier squads and detachment lose. Yeah, so if you wanted to take the Grenadiers as your troops, you would have to take Warrior Elite. So that gets rid of the support squad and allows them to be taken as troops.
But that's nice. That's good.
And they get +1 leadership as well.
Nice, boosting them to a lovely 8.
And then, personally, I would then take Legacy of the Great Crusade, so you get +1 ballistic skill.
Is Legacy of the Great Crusade the one where you get Land Raiders as an option?
No, it basically gives all of your infantry +1 ballistic skill to a maximum of 4. And the force commander in this detachment has an initiative of 5.
Oh,
so that would be kind of cool. But if you want Grenadiers as your troops, you have to take Warrior Elite.
That makes them really good shooters. I mean, that means that you're doing 3s for your hits. That's great.
There is Survivors of the Dark Age, where your Grenadier squads and your command cadres in this province may take Legio Rhinos as transports. Now, that is a really good option, and considering you'll see why, because you don't have transports in this army. So, that's really, really good to be able to bring Rhinos, which is very, very 2nd edition. I just like to point that out. It's Rogue Trader 2nd edition all the way, baby. Having Imperial Guard riding around in Rhinos, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And you also get access to an assault drill and Land Raiders, so long as the squad numbers 10, no more than 10 or less, which is really, really cool. Like Imperial Guard riding around in Land Raiders. I'm sold. I'm done. This is it. This is my next army. But yeah, but you definitely need the Warrior Elite. Otherwise, you just can't. You can't run the Grenadiers. But I like the Grenadiers. They're pretty cool. They're pretty solid. They're a guardsman, so you're inferior to a Marine straight away. But you're not going to have to collect stupid amounts to fulfill your troop requirements.
Yeah. I think the thing, if you haven't noticed, is these are really cheap units. Because remember, we're normally playing at like 2,000, 3,000 plus.
Well, how many points is a tactical squad?
100 points for a 10-man bare bones tactical
And that's
squad.
basically coming with bolters.
That is them with bolters and bolt pistols.
So your grenadier squad, even if you keep it at 10 guys, by the time that you give your sergeant weapons, your Vox, your Vexilla, a couple of maybe specialist weapons like 2 bolt guns, your bayonets, and a couple of heavy weapons, this squad's going to be coming well over, like almost pushing 150 points.
Yeah, I mean, I would try and keep it cheap and cheerful, as you say. Now the Vexilla doesn't work the same way as a Legion Vexilla does.
No.
But I would even just go likes of those provenances where you're going to have your ballistic skill 4 grenadiers.
Yeah, baby.
Two melta guns in the squad, and that's all I would take on them.
But the problem is now that I've seen that I could put my grenadiers in rhinos.
That's even better.
Yeah,
that means that you jump them out, blast them with melta guns, and you don't really need to care about them. And that's a squad of 105 points plus 35 for a rhino.
Yeah,
that's real good.
It's pretty good. And then you can take a 20-man squad and throw them in a. Well, you can't take them in a. How many does a Land Raider hold?
12.
Oh, well, you can't bring 20 of them in there. Oh, can you?
You'd put your Ogrins in the Land Raider.
You do. Now, you do have another troops choice, which is your fire support squad. So these basically are your fixed sort of fire teams. So looking at the new range of models, these are your heavy bolters, your las cannons, your cannon. The guys were two models on a base with a tripod mounted weapon. So these are support squads.
Starts with a heavy stubber. You can give them all sorts of different weapons.
So your mortars, heavy bolter, multi-laser, autocannon, missile launchers, las cannons. They are emplaced, so a unit that includes any models with this special rule may only return fire or overwatch for core reactions or Inceptor advanced reactions. No other reactions of any kind may be made. Additionally, if forced to fall back for any reason, all models in the unit are immediately removed as casualties. Because it's obviously you're a heavy weapons team, so if something hits you, you're going to be slow to get up, and that's kind of why. Which I like that. It's very thematic.
It is very thematic.
I like the fact that you can bring them as troops, but they are counted as support. Again, they don't get carapace armor, but that's okay because they're not really going to be frontline fighting. They're your support element. So 60 points for a 3-man team, which is quite nice.
And you can get up to 10 in the squad.
Yeah, 10 mortars at the back of the board.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think the mortars is actually the smart choice to take because it's going to inflict the amount of blasts you're going to do on a squad.
Like they're only 5 points.
And they're only 5 points each, and they cause pinning. Which is what you want. Now, las cannons are a good option as well. However, I think that the mortars beat them to the punch on their utility for this squad. There's other things you can do for your anti-tank.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go down the anti-tank route, you want tanks. So
you go rapier destroyers. Yeah, rapier destroyers are a good shout as well.
And there's a lot of good tanks. Well, I say good. There's a lot of tanks with good guns. That are relatively cheap to take in this, whereas mortars, I'm just picturing now a unit of 10 mortars at the back of the board.
Yeah,
that's just your mortar platoons rocked up. Welcome to Mortar Town, baby. So, and then you can't have a army themed army without a reconnaissance squad. So they've got scout, which is kind of cool. They're a support squad. They infiltrate, which is really cool. And they have move through cover, which is awesome. There's like 50 points for 5 guys. You can have up to an additional 5 guys for 5 points. They all come with shotguns. and any model can exchange their guns for las carbines or stubber carbines. You can bring snipers, and then you can give the sergeant a melter bomb. I as soon as I seen this unit, I'm instantly like going to the little halfling sniper guys for the Imperial Guard.
The ratlings.
Yeah, straight away.
Yeah.
Rattlings all the way. But yeah, really, really cool. I like that unit. There's a lot of theme to it, which is really good. If you want a designated group of snipers, and I'm pretty sure there are snipers in the plastic range, or at least there used to be. There used to be sniper guys in the Imperial Guard range. Games Workshop's website's crashed.
No.
Really has. It's just like, no, not changing the page for you. Ah, here we go. Oh, well, I found the Rogue Psyker. There is a Psyker, by the way. He's there. It just wasn't listed in the correct page. So, yeah, there are... So, the Rattling Snipers comes with 5 guys. 5 models. There you go. There's your recon squad. So nice models. Gaunt's Ghost. Wow, that's a lot of Baneblades. So, they're really, really, really cool.
Yeah, so the stuff in the troop section, it all fulfills a different role. It all is really, really crisp, I think. It's really clear. I mean, the emplaced rule for the support squad is well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
The expendable rule for the levy squad is, again, these guys are going to break because they're not battle-hardened warriors. They're leadership 6. It really, really shows. These guys are really cheap for a reason.
Yeah, but you don't want them to fight. They're meant to be hunkered
They're
down
there
in
to-
a piece of terrain, picking off targets with those sniper
I
rifles.
I would say the levy squads are there to be an utter
Oh, we talking
annoyance.
levies?
Levies are there to annoy and to get in the way.
I'm not even thinking about bringing levies.
Grenadiers, I think, are great.
Grenadiers. The Grenadiers are a solid choice. But to get them to be your mainstay, you're going to have to give up one of your provinces, which is not bad.
I mean, the general infantry. I mean, sure, it's going to take you an extra 40 infantry to unlock your grenadier squads, but I mean, they do have line, and they just all you need is 2 squads of them, and it's only 160 points for that. So It's not really eating into a lot of attack.
No, but no, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, it's one of the options, but as you say, you can work around it with the provinces.
Yeah, there's definitely ways and means. So the first into our elite section, we get the first one is the Medicaid detachment. So It's exactly what it says on the tin. It's 3 medics for 40 points. Although you can have an additional 9 medics for 12 points each. Now, they do have the Medicaid support. So a Medicaid detachment is selected in the same way as any other unit, using up a single force organization slot and brought in the same manner. However, before the first turn begins, any models deployed to the battlefield, all models in an Imperial Militia Medicaid detachment must be assigned to another unit from the same detachment. So you want an apothecary in your grenadier squad? That's how you do it. You want an apothecary in your... Basically, across every single squad, you're going to be paying 12 points for additional guys. But that's really nice. That's similar to how what the Legion apothecaries work, isn't it? You buy
it is
a couple of them.
It's exactly the same way, and it's the same sort of way with your was it your discipline cadre? It does that same sort of thing where you attach them before the start of the game, and then they'll give you they have their auto medicus, which gives you a 6-up feel no pain,
Yeah.
but you can't it can't be upgraded in any way. It's just 6-up.
Yeah, it's not great, but hey, it's
But
something.
you can't. But you can. All models with the infantry or cavalry unit type. Can you give these guys
For what?
horses?
No. So you can't give them horses. There's no options to do it. However, once assigned, a medic is considered as part of that unit and may not leave it under any circumstances. If this unit is removed as casualty, blah blah blah. Where did you see the cavalry part? I seen it the ogre part. All models with the
Sorry,
infantry or cavalry unit type.
I was just throwing
Because at least one model with the auto.
because the auto medicus said about cavalry, but they can't join cavalry, so never mind me. It's just my mad rambling. Yeah, they're apothecaries. They're really cheap. And
if you want to model them, the Cadian upgrade sprue comes with upgrade options for a medic, which is kind of cool, as well as all of your other cool weapon options as well, which is kind of nice. But I would definitely be taking. I would take at least a minimum of 3, and they would be in my frontline grenadier squads.
Yeah, you stick a wee medic with them in the rhinos, and have them hop out.
Loving it, loving life, because those rhinos, camouflage rhino. Oh my lord! I'm getting flashbacks from the compendium books from Rogue Trader. This is so good. So the next elite choice is your Ogrins, for 100 points for 3 Ogrins. They're Ogrins, so don't expect anything other than Ogrins.
I honestly I can't say how much that I love the Ogrins, and
I do like them. They're nice and big. They're chunky big boys, and they're plastic. So which is always good.
From a rules perspective for this unit, I think that they have done a top-notch job.
Yes, they are pretty cool.
So, I mean, they're 100 points. They are movement 7, so they're as fast as a marine.
Mm-hmm.
They're weapon skill 4. They're ballistic skill 2. They're ballistic skill 2, but you don't care.
No.
They are strength and toughness 5. They've each got 3 wounds. Their initiative doesn't matter. They've each got 4 attacks in the base, 5 attacks in the boss, and the boss also has leadership 7, which is decent.
Yeah. Now,
also they're stubborn.
Yeah, so the entire unit can replace their flak armor for carapace armor to get a 4-up armor save.
Approved.
And you can give them all boarding shields if you want for 5 points each.
So the way that I would kit these guys out is all with boarding shields, buy a buff, and give them a thunderhammer. If you're taking them in your grenadier land raider force, you keep them as a 3-man squad and put them inside a land raider.
Which is kind of cool because the kit does come with 3 boarding shields.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Ogrins. I play 1 in Darktide. I like my big guy running around with a big stick and a shield. It's just so cool.
The Ogren boss is just a hero running around with a strength 10 thunderhammer. Yeah. What is not to like?
Now you can take these as troops if you use the Ogren provinces, so you can have an Ogren army if you really wanted to. Now that would be quite expensive because you can only buy them in boxes of 3, but would still look so damn good because you can take your other province and basically give them access to land raiders. That's actually quite a scary army because you're stronger and tougher than a space marine.
Yep.
And you're hitting them on weapon skill 4, which is the same as a Space Marine.
Yep.
You're 3 wounds each.
They're pretty much Gal Vorbak.
They are pretty solid. That's pretty. Yeah.
Except, I mean, obviously, I say that with the greatest pinch of salt and eye squinting, because obviously there's a lot of what the Gal Vorbak are is just better.
Well, we're looking at the stat line. We're not looking at the rules, because once we go into the rules, Gal Vorbak just tear these to pieces.
Oberon's also have armor of Wrath too, which is great.
Yeah, but Stubborn as well is really good.
Yeah,
which is
They're-
going
they
to
have-
keep them around for a while.
So against the Imperialis militia that I fought during the week, there was 2 squads of I think it was 5 Ogrins in each squad, all with boarding shields and had the hammers. They have a lot of staying power.
Yeah.
Really good. And the fact that you could, if you take your conscript provenance, you can give them medics, which gives them then a 6-up feel no pain to go along with them, which is really nice. Yeah, they're a solid squad.
Yeah.
Really, really good option.
So the next option is your field gun battery. So if you want even more gun teams, then you can get this. Now you get a Thunderblast cannon, which I have no idea what that is.
So this is, I think this is actually the new artillery kit that came out with Guard.
I was just looking at that now, because I know there's the big las cannon in that box. Because you get 2 of them in the starter set, the combat patrol box. So you get in that box, you get a big las cannon, and you get what looks like a 25-pounder howitzer, and then a multi-barreled rocket launcher.
Okay.
So
a Calliope mortar will be your like rocket launcher thing.
So you get the rocket launcher.
Yeah. You get 3 options.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So that would be your thunder cannon is basically your 25-pounder howitzer. Your heavy las cannon's a heavy las cannon, and your mortar is free. What do they do? What are the stat lines for these guns? Because we know what a heavy las cannon is. It'll be a slightly stronger las cannon. A Thunderblast cannon is 72-inch range, strength 7, AP 4, heavy 1, blast 3 inches, barrage and pinning. Your mortars, which you're getting for free, are 48-inch range, strength 5, AP 5, heavy 1, large 5-inch blast, pinning, barrage and shell shock 1. And then just to round it out, your heavy las cannon are strength 10, AP 2, heavy 1 sunder. Ouch. Yeah.
The Calliope mortar, from you reading those 3 stat lines, the Calliope mortar I think is the right call.
And they're free.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
45 points for 1. You can take an additional
up to
an additional 5 guns for 40 each.
Yeah, I'm not too sure you do that though, because you get them in boxes of 3. So, you only get, for 45 points, you're only getting 1 gun. So
yeah, for 45 you're only getting 1.
So if you buy a box of them, you're going to need to pay at least another 80 points to put all 3 of them in that unit.
And these
I like that. That would be pretty
These
cool.
guys strangely can buy carapace armor.
They can, which is very weird. So, but either way, I like it. They are in place, so if anything does charge you and you fall back, you're dead. And you can only overwatch or return fire. So, the first fast attack is the Arvis Transport. Oh my god. I don't even know if they still sell this thing.
I mean, I I think it still is available.
Do they still sell it? Because if anyone doesn't know, this is the weird aircraft that has no guns. Like,
And
none.
yet has smoke launchers that it can never use.
Battlefield rule. Let's go for flyers. I can't find it. Doesn't seem to be there. Oh, no. What? It's sold out? Really? Unbelievable. So, yeah, they do still sell it. It's like a little light transport vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
It's so pointless. But, yeah, you can bring one for 40 points. And it's an infantry transport. It can deep strike. I would look at this like a drop pod for your troops that can kind of fly off after it's dropped the guys on the ground. Basically,
What will actually happen is that you'll drop an Alpha slider into the board. Someone will laugh. It'll blow up, and everything inside will die.
yeah, because it's all going to come down with everything else in deep strike. But it does have deep strike. It is an infantry transport. It doesn't actually say how much infantry it holds. Oh no, it does. Truck 12. So you can stick a full squad in there and a medic, so your grenadiers can jump in this. But yeah, I mean, like maybe
It's a comedy choice.
Yeah, but you're not paying. Like I'm thinking this is like nearly 100 odd. They're pretty expensive if I remember rightly. Yeah, they're £82 each. You're not paying that much money for essentially a drop pod that will fly off afterwards, because it can't do anything. Like It's got no options to bring any guns. Like this is on par with Whirlwinds as far as bad takes. Like, it's terrible.
No one is Harvest transport.
In Epic, I will. If they give it, if I'm pretty sure there's an Nautica version of this, and if the militia get roughly the same idea in Epic, I would bring loads of these just for the lols, because no one would expect it. So, your next fast attack option is your Cargo 8 Hauler Squadron. Now, I am pretty sure, looking at this and trying to work out what model this is.
I think it's from a Necromunda kit. It's
yeah.
It's a repurposed Necromunda kit. One of the expansion ranges with like sand people or something.
Potentially the Ash Wastes. Ash Waste Vehicle Workshop. Is that it? Yeah, there it is. For £60, it's basically what looks like a ISO container, basically on 8 wheels. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. It's covered in guns, so that's your transport for your militia. Wow, it's got, how many guns has it got on it? None. Lies. The model has guns.
May take stuff.
Yeah, you can
give it a gun. You can give it a hunter killer missile, and you can buy an armored container, which changes its transport capacity but increases its side and rear armor by 1.
So
which is bad.
So the trailers are 40 points, and you can have up to additional 2 trailers. So you can buy the trailers separately, and then add them on the back.
If you want it bedecked with guns, you need to take an armored container.
Yeah.
Because you get 2 additional pintle wounded heavy stubbers.
Okay, so
as we all know, heavy stubbers are to be feared.
Yeah, so far I'm in the Rhino and Land Raider compartment right now. Yeah, this is just stupid. But if you want that crazy looking theme, then yeah, this is
Oh,
what you want.
I fully endorse this vehicle. I think
How?
it's an amazing addition.
Why would I? That does not surprise me. So next up, we have the cavalry. Again, this is your Rough Rider box. Um, so the new plastic Rough Riders. As this is
Yep.
exactly what these guys are, and they'll come with all of the options that that unit box comes with, because obviously this is written in that way mine. So 50 points for 5 of them, pretty good. An additional 10 for 8 points per model. The sergeant can have a bolt pistol, a blast pistol, plasma, chainsword, power sword. Any of your guys can take a shotgun, a lance. You've got to take the lances.
Yeah.
And then one outrider can have either a grenade launcher, flamer, melter, plasma, or a melter lance. You're going to take a melter lance.
I would honestly just stick to the militia lances. I think they do a better job.
I take a melter lance because you've got
I mean,
a
there's a
melter gun at the end of a
there's a different
stick.
model for because these obviously this translates into the new kit,
Yes,
and I
yes.
presume there is a melter lance in that kit.
There is. There is actually. I will tell you now. So yeah, power
Or
saber.
or
a different
that's the sort of is like different tip.
Yeah,
that's sort
there's different
of
sort of. Yeah, there's different. I'm pretty sure the ones that it's showing you on that website are. Well, you get the ones with the grenades, which I find hilarious. So you get a grenade at the end of your lance. So cool.
yeah.
Um,
So that's your militia lance.
yeah, that's. But I like these. If you want cavalry again, this is if you want the cavalry army. This is what you're going to be taking. Relentless, Scout, and Hammer of Wrath 1. Scout's pretty solid. Nice little pre-game move is always good. But you're in flak armor. You're on a horse.
I mean, carapace armor is an option for these guys.
It is, but it's not for the whole unit. It's 2 points per model, which is not bad. 10 points for the 5 guys. And then we're going. Oh yeah, the next unit is just nuts. Right, so it's the Horus Heresy. So things that shouldn't be around are, and this is the Beastmasters and the War Beasts. So basically, for 50 points, you get 3 handlers, and then your War Beasts can include any number of War Beasts. The rules for those beasts are as follows. So you can have a Mastiff, a Feldine, a Carmine, or a Raptor. Now, I have no idea where you're going to get the models for these things from.
Okay.
Although
So
Raptors, I think the new Seraphon might have little Raptors or little models, but there's plenty of kits with the Mastiffs and stuff. But yeah,
okay.
this is nuts.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this is a really weirdly. It doesn't sit right with me what is on the page for what this unit is. I don't know if it's just me or whatever else, but so this unit, so 3 handlers, you can have up to an additional 7, so you can have 10 in the unit.
Mm-hmm.
The unit may include, so you get 1 war beast for each handler that you include. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all 10 points each except for the Kaiman. Is the Kaiman super better? He is. Okay. So yeah, so you're paying 10 points for any of them, and then if you're wanting a super duper one, you're getting 15 points. Now, the Mastiff, the Raptor, and the Filidae are each have skirmish and light, which won't match up with the rest of the squad, so that doesn't really matter. Okay. Yeah, so the special rules for each of these war-based sort of overlaps in parts, and some of them just get their own thing.
Yeah, basically. That's how
Yeah,
it reads. You can include one war beast for each handler.
yeah. It's a weird combination of rules. I think.
Mm.
I think it would take somebody a lot more time than what I am, I think, to work it out. It's like the Caimans are great because they're all toughness strength 5 with 2 wins each.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty solid. They all get. They also have feel no pain 5 up with 5 up saves. I mean, that's pretty strong. But I don't know what this unit is meant to do.
Um,
Do you
I
get what I
would.
mean?
Yeah. I just googled what that thing is, and I'm just getting
It's a
lots of.
bit.
Oh,
It's a
it's
bit.
a
It's a bit.
crocodile.
Oh, it's a crocodile. I thought it was. It might have ended up being a cat man.
No, it's a crocodile. But again, um, I'm not actually seeing any 40k models for crocodiles unless you go into Age of Sigmar for the Seraphon and buy
Yeah.
the Crossagors.
Mm.
But again, like there's a lot of cool looking tanks um, for different games and 3D printing and stuff for these type of tanks, but nothing for that.
I think
So I
the
don't know.
Beastmasters are a no for me.
They don't fit with what I want the army to do for me personally, so no. And it's just when I first seen it, I was like Beastmasters, and I was thinking, are we getting Beastmen here? Because that would be cool.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that would have been cool.
The next fast attack is the Sentinel Squadron. It's a Sentinel for 60
The
points.
humble sentinel is
Not our heavy Sentinels, because we're not getting them yet, and the militia won't get them. That'll be the Solar Auxiliary only.
yeah.
But these guys are bulky 5. They've got Scout. You can have an additional 4 for 60 points each. So a unit of 5. You can equip them all with multi lasers. You can give them a heavy flamer instead for free, or an autocannon for free. Or you can have missile launchers, las cannons, or multi melters for 15 points.
The
Um,
fact the fact that these can scout means they can outflank, and
yeah,
having outflanking multi-melt the sentinels
yeah.
is daunting for anybody.
So they also have the mechanized subunit type. So the following rules apply to all models with a mechanized sub type. So again,
So
the
this is our dreadnought esque
yeah,
rules.
yeah, and there's a lot of those type rules.
For some reason, they just decided to include it specifically in the sentinel again.
Yeah.
Probably they forgot that they included it above.
Well, it's always nice to be reminded.
Yeah.
So now we're going into another fast attack, which is kind of cool again, but it's going to be an expensive model, and that is the good old Thunderbolt fighter. So for 120 points, you're going to be able to bring a Thunderbolt, which is some nice air support. You get 4 front-mounted autocannons and 2 front-mounted las cannons, and then you can basically give it lots of crack or frack rockets. 22-inch move. They are fast. They're exactly what they've always been, which is a pretty standard, quite tough fighter jet.
I mean, the Thunderbolt is a really cool shape. Timeless, I would say.
Yeah, it's very much like a 40k version of a Spitfire. I've always sort of pictured them as. But all the guns, I remember used to owning one back in the day when we used to play.
But there's not really much you can say about it. The Thunderbolt is a Thunderbolt. It has a lot of guns on it,
Yeah.
and yeah, if it gets there and it gets to shoot things uninterrupted, it's gonna tear things up. And for 120 points, it's actually reasonably priced for a flyer.
So we're moving into the heavy support now, and now we've got the rapier batteries, which Kyle loves. Probably because you can get access to laser destroyers and quad launchers.
Yeah, rapier batteries are pretty strong. I mean, you get 1 gun, 3 gunners to start with, and then you can have up to 5 additional carriers, and then for each carrier, you get an additional 3 guys.
Yeah.
So you can equip them all either with the heavy bolter battery, the laser destroyers, or quad launchers with frag shells. This is where you'd want your laser destroyers to be. That's why you'd keep your mortar teams to do whatever they're doing, and then have laser destroyers instead of las cannons to pick off any armor problems that you have. And for 30, it was 55 points for each gun. That's a bargain to kill some armor.
It is. The one thing that I would say with it is, obviously, this is a Forge World kit, and there's no guarantee that Forge will still sell these.
I believe they do.
Astra Militarum. There's a lot of tanks.
But it's an easily converted thing to make a rapier gun platform, because all you need is really a set of wheels or tracks and then your las cannons. It's a pretty easy scrap build job.
Yeah.
If you were to want to do it that way.
Mm. Well, there's Space Marine ones, but there's no Guard version for now. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's all
the rapier batteries are real strong.
You like
for militia artillerists, militia rapier battery must have 1 militia gunner per rapier carrier in order for it to make a shooting attack. As soon as you go beneath a certain amount of gunners, you're not going to be able to fire your full allotment of guns.
Yeah.
Which is just right. If you only have 4 crew and you got 5 guns, you can only fire 4 of
them. Next up is the Malkador heavy tank. Now, I'd heard rumours that this was coming out in plastic, and at the time I was like, yeah, alright then, whatever. But after the what they've shown us with the Epic, and the fact that there's 2 Malkador heavy tanks in that box for the Solar Auxiliary, those rumours seem to look in pretty good that we're going to be seeing a 40k scale, 30k scale plastic Malkador tank, which is really good if you're wanting to do militia, because right now these are Forge World only, and Forge World means expensive.
The sooner that Solar Auxilia gets its announcement for plastic, the better.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of nods that they're doing from that epic scale stuff, because obviously those heavy sentinels. Now, at the same time, I don't think that Solar Auxilia is going to drop anytime soon.
Well, it's in the winter, so you're looking at it at least until from December to March next year. So there's a long time off yet.
Yeah, we're still waiting for other things before it'll be on the horizon. But I would say it's a fairly good shout that it's heading to plastic sooner rather than later.
Yeah, there's a lot of indications that that's going to happen. But it's a solid tank. But personally, for 185 points, I would rather bring a Lehman Russ at 120, because you can't go wrong with the good old trusty Lehman Russ.
No, there is not. As I do agree, there's nothing wrong with the humble Lehman Russ. There is a caveat that the militia Lehman Russes can't be squadroned unless you take a specific provenance.
Yeah, well, that's obviously for your tank army.
Yeah, but that means that if you're taking any regular force, that a maximum of 3 heavy supports means only 3 Lehman Russes. No squadron.
I'm not a big fan of squadrons in these editions of the game, because squadron normally implies that it's got quite a nasty rule with the damage going across and bonuses for immobilizing and stuff like that. It's not really how it works like in current 40k, where they're just treated as individual models in a unit, and there's no real downside for that. So even like back in first edition, when I had the option of bringing Predator squadrons, I was always quite wary about doing it, because obviously if one gets hit, then the other two aren't going, and if you leave the tank, then the other one, even if it's immobilized, is then counted as being destroyed. And like, I'm not overly too sure if they've changed all of that, but I can't imagine they will have done. So I'm good with bringing 3 Lehman Russes. Means I've got more points for a Baneblade.
The Vanquisher cannon for me is the highlight of the turret options for the Lehman Russ.
Oh yeah, you want something that's going to punch straight through armor.
Yeah.
So Vanquisher is all the way.
It's a straight shot with Brutal 3 on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's such a good gun, and the fact that it comes with a coaxial autocannon as well, all for the bargain basement price of 5 points.
Yeah, and you're gonna throw on a hull mounted las cannon just for the giggles, and maybe some side sponsons as well.
No side sponsons for these Lehman Russes.
No, they don't. Yeah, oh, take a searchlight. You'll need it against the Night Lords.
But yeah, Lehman Russ, really solid. I mean, its front armor front is 14, 13, 10.
Uh-huh.
It's got four hull points. It's going to be a Lehman Russ and do a job.
So the next one is your heavy ordnance battery for 75 points. Basically, it's your basilisks or your medusas, essentially. So you've got 1 gun carriage and 4 crew. The gun carriage is basically the tank. Or is it?
Yeah.
No, it isn't, because they don't have an armor profile.
It's no armor. It is a fixed gun platform as opposed to...
Oh, it's the Forge World version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you bought the normal tank and told your opponent that they're fixed, that they wouldn't really mind. I mean, they're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, because you don't move them once the game starts.
No, you don't need to. Not with over 120 inches range. You're not going to need to. But yeah, they're exactly what they say on the tin. They're basically big ass guns that have got really, really long range, and you can bring up an additional 2, or you can switch it all out for mortars. So it's either a basilisk or a Medusa mortar. Now it does have man the gun, so may only attack with the maximum number of gun carriages equal to the number of militia. So if you start losing guys, then you're not going to be able to fire the guns, which is a shame.
Yeah, it's the same thing as your lighter stuff. As soon as you run out of guys, you can't fire the gun.
Yeah, but here's
all thematic.
But if you are a mental case and you want to bring all of those levy infantry, then could I interest you in a Gorgon heavy transporter for 250 points? Transport capacity of 40. That's 1 troop choice. And yeah, so it's the Gorgon. It's a Forge World kit. It's basically like a big landing craft in 40k. They're pretty cool. Front armor 14.
It's 15. Not an assault vehicle.
No, which is weird.
Yeah.
But for the same price of a Land Raider, you've got a front armor 15, carries 40 guys. It has quite a few guns on it.
Oh wow, front armor! I didn't even see the front armor 15.
Front armor 15 only moves 8 inches. It's really slow. Has eight hull, but this thing is massive. It is a really big tank.
Yeah, because it has a big gun on it as well, doesn't it? Yeah. What's a Gorgon mortar battery?
It's got the I think it's just mortars, mate.
Oh, fair. So it's got 2 of them. It's got two heavy stubbers, and then
it's the heavy stubbers that'll do the damage.
Hey, take spawns and las cannons as well. That's pretty cool.
You can kit them out. I mean, it carries 40 guys, so it's pretty not bad.
It's also because it's heavy, because it's a super heavy type, means that unless they're scoring penetrating hits, you're not caring, and you will get to where you want to go.
It's not super heavy.
Yes,
Oh no,
it
it
is.
is. It's a super heavy, but in the heavy support slot. Ooh.
Aha. Because not everything that is a super heavy is a Lord of War.
No, that's true. But from this point on, they are. So,
But yes.
for our Lord of Wars, they're everything that you expect. So we've got every Bane Blade type under the sun. So you got your standard Bane Blade for 400 points. And that's it. And then basically, is that it? You don't get any of the fun-loving ones? Oh my god. No volcano cannons for me.
So this is an interesting thing. So Imperial Militia have got their Bane Blade, which costs 400 points, which is I believe cheap compared to the regular one.
Yeah, it is.
But it doesn't stop you from taking a Lord of War choice from the generic Lord of War available to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you can add in, like, if you wanted to take a Shadow Sword, you just have a Legion Shadow Sword as your Lord of War choice.
Yeah. Or a Titan.
Yeah, or a Titan, or whatever you want, really.
Pretty good.
But the Bane Blade is a Bane Blade. It's there.
I mean, that's it.
I've played against the Bane Blade recently and did take a Warhound Titan.
Yeah, but that's...
to crush it.
What did you have on the Warhound? Did you have 2 laser destroyers?
I did have two twin links turbo laser destroyers.
That Bane Blade didn't stand a chance.
It took 2 turns to kill it.
But still didn't stand a chance. Did it do anything in those 2 turns?
It killed a lot of guys, but didn't kill any full units.
No.
So,
see, So that's just not very nice, Kyle. That poor boy's been completely demoralised.
he ignored it. He was demoralised by his own rolls more than anything else, messing with everything that could possibly penetrate the armour. He got through the void shields and then stopped. That's what it felt like.
So after that, we're basically into the armory, and we're not going through the weapons because there's a lot. But we've picked out a couple of them that are kind of new and unknown to us. But yeah. It's quite a fun thematic army.
Yeah, there's a lot of flavor that you're able to put into your militia force. It can be whatever you want it to be with those provenances, and it is truly limited by what do you want to make them look like, and what do you want to field, and it's like your imagination is your own restriction here.
Yeah, they are.
It's like it really, really is. It's like you can, as we've gone through, is like there's a lot of comparison to the current 40k kits that have just been updated.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop you from scratch building your own or finding other things that you want to do.
If you want to play 30k, but you don't want to play Space Marines, then the militia is definitely a good idea. Or you just continually to wait out for the plastic solar auxiliary that are definitely coming.
Yeah,
it's inevitable. So
I think that these guys are great as a little allied force, and anybody can have them. You can do so much with 1,000 points of these, where it won't break the bank. You're not overly worried about like how to fill all of the points at like higher levels. You're just trying to have like your little core. You get your grenadier squads or your ogrins or whatever you want to do, and you just have a little militia allied detachment or small zone mortalis force.
Yeah, definitely.
That's personally how I'd be using them.
It is pretty cool, but I mean, like, this is going to get pretty much forgotten as soon as those plastic solar auxiliary come out.
I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what they do with the Solar Auxilia because they're gonna get their plastic kits and
Yeah.
they're gonna get a few new units to tie into what the Solar Auxilia already do.
Hmm.
But Solar Auxilia and Militia play totally different. Solar Auxilia is like you've got your your actual Space Marines rather than an Adeptus Astartes. You've got people in high quality gear going out into void engagements and mopping up problems, whereas the Imperialist Militia are your common everyday rabble en masse.
Yeah, I think like certain things, likes of uh, your rapier batteries. Now, the only way to get a rapier battery for a guard-like army is through the Solar Auxiliary. They have two.
Yeah.
They've got the quad launcher and then the multi-laser. Um, Now, I would be highly surprised if they don't come out in plastic when this range is done, which means with a simple little switch out with the crew, you're going to be able to put the Cadian shock troop guys on there, and
Yeah,
you're going to be able to run them. So there might be a little bit of cross pollination over between the two. I personally don't think the militia's ever going to see an actual black book. I think it'll always stay as a PDF.
yeah,
And
but I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that too. It's
Because this because what we've been talking about is it was created and distributed for free from GW
yes.
instead of putting it in a black book.
Hmm.
And from when that happened, there was a cry of happiness because like it was so unexpected, and everybody has just been overjoyed by what they've done with it. It's
Yeah.
not too powerful, it's not too weak. It's at that right balance point where it'll survive, but you're going to lose a lot of guys doing it.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of quirk to the militia force. I think that's it takes it to that step above because of how moldable it is.
Yeah, I would definitely be tempted purely for the plastic Cadian range. I mean, if you really wanted to spend a little bit extra, you could kind of make your army look like a Death Corps of Krieg army.
Yeah,
But it's getting hold of that Grenadier squad in plastic, which is quite difficult right now. But for now, I'm more than content with my salamanders.
yes. Continue on the green tide.
Yes, yes, I'm enjoying them. But we are literally out of time. That is us. We're done. It's another one in the bag, Kyle.
Yeah, great. So, it's been a joy talking about me slightly fanboying over the militia that I've never played or deviated from my marine mentality.
But that is us. So if you haven't yet to subscribe, please do. And obviously like, share, and ring the bell and all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. And if you do have any burning questions about the Horus Heresy, drop it in the comments. And then we'll answer them in the next one. All right. So I will say goodbye. What are you going to say, Kyle?
I'm going to say bye too.
Right. Bye-bye, everyone. See you in the next one.
Cheers, bye.